Hi there, my name is Kim. I work at the East Sussex Careers Hub, and today, as part of Digital Open Doors, I will be taking you on a tour of the Rye Harbour Nature Reserve. Here I am with Lucy. She's the education manager who hosts the Open Doors visit. As we are working outdoors in October, this video is a little windy and may be hard to hear Lucy at moments. Please check the subtitles at the bottom of the screen, and some parts I will describe what's happening. Lucy works with schools and community groups, engaging them with wildlife and the nature reserve. Rather than traditional teaching, groups come out to the reserve and see nature in context, and hopefully get a buzz from doing so. The team hope that if people learn and get excited about nature, they will work towards protecting it in the future. Lucy is describing how you can tell just how far the sea tide comes in by the length of the plants. The grass she is pointing at is where the tide ends.
Before the road, before loads of people were here, this was all just salt marsh. It was all like this.
Okay.
And the tide just came in and out because the river is just over there. So it's basically when the tide is high, the river overspills.
Oh, I see.
But now that we've built buildings, road, what have you, the water has to be kind of directed through these big tunnels, these culverts.
In this part, I asked Lucy what the definition of a nature reserve actually is. She replied that it is government designated, which affords an area of preservation for the wildlife and specifically the birds which come to Rye to breed and roost. It also joins up the beach to Dungeness, which counts as a triple SI, which means Site of Special Scientific Interest, due to the vegetation of the shingle, such as sea kale and samphire, which you'll see me get a taste of in a minute. So you get any animals here?
Yeah, so the birds will sometimes be on these ponds feeding.
Oh, yes.
In the plants, you'll get like, see a little bird there. So you've got meadow pipits and skylarks coming up there eating the seeds on these salt marsh plants. You've heard of samphire? Do you eat samphire? So this is samphire. If you want to break a little bit off, so that's just a tip. Are you aware?
It wasn't my favourite.
That's fresh straight from the salt marsh. And the plant roots sort of help to track that and build up layers and layers of mud. And inside the mud, there's lots of invertebrates living. So little what's called carophium shrimp, which is basically a mud shrimp, that tunnels and burrows into the mud. And they're great food for things like redshank, which is a wading bird. Again, it's one of the reasons that we've got protective status here because of birds like redshank coming here and feeding and breeding.
So you studied, did you?
I studied wildlife conservation, and then I went to agricultural college as well and did a lower level course, but it was very practical. So my degree at university taught me the theories and the science, and then I didn't have enough practical experience to be able to really apply that knowledge, but agricultural college that gave me that. So I did a course, it was called a national certificate. It was practical habitat management, and there's a lot of people there that wanted to do ranger work, this sort of any sort of countryside management type work. It gave us a really good grounding for that.
Here we're going to be talking to Dr Barry Yates, who has been the reserve manager at Rye for over 25 years. Unfortunately, it was extra windy in this moment, so I'm going to be telling you what he says. I asked Barry to talk through his role with us if he could. Here he is celebrating that he's on Countryfire, so please check him out on that. He says he looks after the area of land at the harbour, which is the size of 660 football pitches. There are over 4,500 birds and animals that live in the reserve. The plant life is extremely special, with examples such as the samphire that we saw earlier and the wild carrot that grows across there. They also have rare forms of birds that for the first time ever have spread to Rye. They are doing similar exercises for lots of species, creating the right habitat for them. I then asked Barry for some advice for young people who may be interested in taking his role one day. What is the qualities that a reserve manager has? Barry cited that they need a love of the wildlife and also the ability to communicate with lots of people. At the Rye Harbour, you have the members of the public that come and walk their dogs every day. You have scientists, you have school children, educators, everyone. You have to be able to talk to all of them. But you also need the ability to get things done at the right time. Lastly, I asked Barry if he had any top tips for you guys. His reply was that volunteering is the best way to go whilst you're young. You get the experience, which is fantastic for interviews, and you figure out if you actually like this or not. Thanks, Barry. Lastly, I got to ask Lucy some questions about her role and what it's like working in the land-based sector. Do you mind going over your career path before your current role?
Sure. So I've worked here at Rye Harbour for about 11 years, and prior to that I worked for a country park for a county council as an education ranger. So for a few years, previous to that I worked for another council as another education ranger. So I've pretty much always done the same work. My first two jobs were more sort of trainee positions, so they were temporary, they were seasonal, so maybe just a year, and they were actually at residential environmental education centres, so places where children came out on their school trips for maybe 3 or 4 nights with their whole class. So it was everything from helping them sort out their own breakfast up to kind of activities all throughout the day, exploring the area, and then sort of night time making them hot chocolate, telling them scary stories before they went off to bed. So yeah, those were quite good jobs. They were good groundings in understanding the world of environmental education, but also sort of just working outdoors in really beautiful locations, and you realise how lucky you are, and that's really what you want to do.
Is that what pulled you then? Have you always enjoyed being
I always wanted to work. When I was younger it was animals specifically, and then as I got older it was more wildlife in general, and I think I had visions of myself on the African plains, counting leopards or something, which probably a lot of young people dream about. But when I went to agricultural college and started studying British wildlife, it really made me appreciate what we have here and understand that with our 4 seasons of the year it's an ever-changing landscape and countryside, and it's just such a beautiful place to be. And there's so much interesting and diverse wildlife here as well, and that's really what made me think, why do I want to go somewhere else? We've got a lot here to learn about and look after.
That's always the tip I give to young people, just try everything.
And that's what we say in this industry. Volunteering is key. There's quite a wide variety of things you can do in conservation. You can, like myself, you can go down the education route and people engagement route, or you can do very much more practical stuff. But we also need accountants, we need people who are experienced in marketing and fundraisers. We need all sorts of different people to make up a business. Because although we're a charity, we're still a business as well. We have to have all those elements. So you can support a conservation charity by being an accountant. You just do the finances for us. So there are loads of different ways it can go. We've got officers that are very much more creative, and so they do things like design our signage and our interpretation and things like that, and they're good at doing films and blogs and all those sorts of things. We need lots of different skills to make up the organisation.
Do you know how many people do work
as
part of this?
Sussex Wildlife Trust, we're over 100 staff. So yeah, we've got fundraising departments with people are good at writing applications and bids to try and get the funding in, so that those of us working with people can continue to receive funding to do the work that we do, and money to look after our beautiful reserves as well. So we've got over 30 reserves across Sussex, nature reserves.
So what is your favourite thing about the job?
I think my favourite thing is the variety. No 2 days are the same for me. If I get an office day, it's great to catch up and do that. Sometimes have an office day planned for when the weather's poor. But for every office day I've perhaps got a day outside work, and I work with such a variety of different people, from very small children, tots, and in our new projects there'll be a nature babies group as well with really little ones, right through to we've got a project planned for And yeah, just a variety. It's such a great way to not get bored to work somewhere.
Tell us about like the sectors. Obviously you've worked a lot in, we would call it like the land-based sector.
Yeah.
And I think especially in a place like East Sussex where there is so much open space. So have you always stayed in East Sussex?
No. I came to East Sussex for this job. Previously I was in Kent, and prior to that I was on the outskirts of London, and I studied in London and in Surrey, and my first 2 jobs were Hampshire and Dorset. So travelled around, mainly the home counties, but that's just because I grew up in the home counties. So, and a lot of them are now affiliated with universities as well, so you can go on, so you can start maybe with a more vocational course and work your way up, and you can do degrees through them as well nowadays, which wasn't like that when I was studying.
What skills would you say you use in your role?
Oh, okay. So as well as being practical, I have to be creative. I have to think of really exciting and engaging events and activities for the children and people want to get involved with. I have to be able to take information at one level and be able to disseminate that to all different levels. So if I want to explain about what we do in this area, what plants are growing, I have to be able to tell a 3-year-old, pick out the right information for a 3-year-old, but also be able to talk to perhaps another professional, somebody who studied botany or biology at university. So it's being able to engage with people on lots of different levels. That's really important. Creative, like I said, but and perhaps just quite resilient. Be able to put up with everything in all weathers, and be quite dynamic, be able to make quick decision changes if the weather's not on your side, or if something happens and you've got a big group of children out, you need to be able to work with that and make quick decisions.
Do you have any top tips for young people thinking about their career?
Yeah, I would say if there's something you think you want to do, try it. See if you can get some work experience, do some volunteering. If that's not possible, talk to people that do that job, see if you can find some way of doing questions and answers, because actually, like me and lots of other people that I know, what I thought I wanted to do when I was younger, I needed to hone that down and find what really worked for me, and find the way to go to that. But I think volunteering and work experience are really important.
Fabulous. Well, thank you, Lucy. You too can visit the Rye Harbour Nature Reserve all year round and enjoy the beautiful scenery. Their new Discovery Centre will be open in spring of 2021 and will host groups for babies up to senior citizens. The task set by Lucy is available by contacting the OpenDoors team. Their contact details are in the bio below. There are tasks for Key Stage 3, 4 and 5 with themes for geography, maths and science, which you can complete, send back to us, and Lucy herself will give you feedback. Thank you again to the Sussex Wildlife Team for letting us visit, and I will see you at our next digital Open Doors video. Bye for now.